for this. Attempted to knock a police inspector down.
Attempting to do what?
You wait.
You.
And you are saying I should know the car before you refuse to. I'm stupid.
Yeah.
Good. I will not insult you. I'm a professional police officer. I will not insult you. But we will teach you a lesson.
You don't know whom you are dealing with. You can't beg him tomorrow.
You insult me whatever you can.
I'll send you 20.
It's a place. Police are working there.
Yeah.
Transfer is not punishment in police.
Okay.
Transfer is not punishment in police.
Don't worry.
Yes.
Don't worry.
Transfer is not punishment.
Do what you want to do.
Can't transfer me to Paluku wherever. My colleagues are there working happily.
Do you want to do?
So what are you telling my colleagues who are attention?
No.
Yeah, human being and human being are staying attention. Same human being who voted for you. Same human being who voted for you. They are working there.
You are lucky I'm not in my...
in your hut?
No, it's okay.
You are not in your hut.
All right.
You don't know the person you are talking.
Don't mind him.
And Honorable is telling police Honorable, just this morning, a colleague of us was knocked down. You heard the news. And you didn't follow the queue. My brother, why didn't you follow the queue? And he wanted to knock me down.
But don't you know?
He wanted to knock me down. I should get away for him to go. Now you don't know this guy and say, oh, Honorable, should I know the guy before you knock me down? No, and you're telling the police, stupid.
No, not
police officer, stupid.
No,
I should know him before I put him in order. My brother, why didn't you follow the queue? And don't you know this guy? And I said, oh, I should know this guy before you knock me down. Just this morning, a police of us was being knocked down. Just this morning.
The checkpoint was
the same mistake. Just follow the queue. You are not in the convoy. You are not in the convoy. Just follow the queue.
I'm
just follow.
So if I've seen there's a space open,
yes,
and there's so much traffic, don't I have the right to choose?
What right do you have? You don't have any right. Just follow as your colleagues are following. They are human beings like you. Just follow.
Oh, okay.
Just follow.
You see?
Master, do you know the mayor can order that these people should just leave here now?
He cannot.
He cannot.
He cannot.
He can order.
This is security reasons. This security matters.
Not to
security
you.
matters.
Not to you.
He can never order.
Hey. He can order you because
he can never order me.
If there is much
my regional commander can order this security apparatus.
I'm not saying he's order you. You can talk to your boss.
Look here.
You can talk to your boss. He can talk to you.
My brother, you say you will transfer me to NJ.
No, let them come and I'll change the situation by
you can't change my situation. You can never change my situation. You can never change my situation.
I will.
And don't think transfer is a punishment. Yes.
Don't worry.
Wherever there is a police station, when you are being sent there, it's not a punishment. Transfer is not a punishment. Let me tell you. There are people over there working, and there are human beings staying wherever you want to transfer me. And you are not a police officer to transfer me. You are not a police officer to transfer me. Yeah, you can snap me. I'm a nice and handsome guy. I'm a very nice and handsome officer. You can snap me. Ugly guy. Hey, Honorable. Be careful of your choice of words. Yes, and I said you are ugly. You can snap again. You can snap again. I'm ugly.
Yes.
You can insult me whatever you can. You can insult and insult.
I say you are.
I'm a professional police officer. I will never insult you. Yes.
And I say you are ugly.
And you can take the picture more and video.
Don't worry.
You can take the pictures and video.
Don't worry.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the MCE for Takoradi. In full glare of everyone. What he didn't know was that he was being recorded. Yes, it is the news review, but we're taking a different approach to it this morning. Sometimes I ask myself about the sheer arrogance of people in power. NDC, MPP. We've seen it all from them in the Fourth Republic. But I ask myself, what gives these people the temerity? We give them the power. The power is ours, and we give it to them. The police officer, he uses power because it is our power we vested in him, and so we give him the respect. And it is the same with the MCE, who is representative of Mr. President in a certain municipality. Now, this MCE says what? Someone is ugly? Oh, he's a fine gentleman, isn't he? He says he will transfer the guy to Enchi because guess what? He is in charge of MUSEC, the Municipal Security Council. He says he'll transfer the gentleman. I love the answer from the police officer when he said, you can even transfer me to Pualugu. There are people there. There are police officers there too. There are people there who need us. How does this happen? I mean, by any stretch of the imagination. And imagine an MCE saying, I would beat you to death. I would beat you to death. How does that, it boggles your mind, doesn't it? How does that happen? And for those other officers who came and were accusing their colleague officer of supposedly being intoxicated, you see, that's the problem in this country. Because when something wrong is done, depending on who is involved, you would want to go like, oh, and why are you doing this? Let it be. It happens even in rape cases. Oh, this person, he's a member of our community. Chief's trying to intervene. And that is the same thing. Impunity. You nearly knocked down a police officer, Mr. MCE. And you have the effrontery to tell the person he is ugly. You will transfer him to Enchi. Go ahead. Now you're in the grips of the police. Go ahead and transfer him. Go ahead. You see what power does? It's like Lord Acton's aphorism. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that is what we are seeing in this country. But anyway, you know, I will have others join the conversation as we get into it. But I just couldn't hold myself this morning because I just felt, where are we headed? I mean, if our politicians from either side, I don't care, NDC, MPP, if we allow them to do things like that, and he is a politician, he is the appointee of Mr. President in that municipality. I'll just leave you with this as my colleague, Manuel Granting, joins the conversation. There's this short story, and it's a little anecdote. Cedric Hardwick, Ralph Richardson, and Lawrence Olivier were once riding together. When their car was stopped because of a traffic offense, Richardson said, I am Sir Ralph Richardson. Seated next to me is Sir Cedric Hardwick, and behind me is Sir Lawrence Olivier. The policeman replied, I don't care if it's the whole of King Arthur's round table. You are getting a summons. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Ghana for you. Adib Saani, security analyst, joins the conversation. Adib, good morning.
Good morning, Ben.
It's a pleasure having you. I am expressing my effusions of, maybe not emotion, but dissatisfaction with the way sometimes our politicians react. But for you, what is your reaction to this development?
Well, I was in my office yesterday, and I got the audio from a colleague of mine. I listened to it, and I was like, goodness, who is this guy? I mean, that is when I decided to go online to get to know more about him, because his demeanor, his posture, his opinions, even about the police, mannerism, is so inconsistent with the kind of responsibility that has been put on this gentleman. And you know, Ben, some time ago, I went to Cape Coast for the weekend, and on my way back, you know, the weekend traffic, almost every big car flouted traffic regulations. I couldn't find a single so-called big car in traffic. Look, I got stuck in that traffic for close to 4 hours, and I used a similar vehicle. Guess what, Ben? I had a taxi driver approach me. He's like, oh, boss, we are disciplined, though. Like, basically seeking to opine that they've never seen this before, you know, that vehicle in traffic. So that should tell you something about our society. We have legitimized wrongdoing to the extent that it is abnormal to do the right thing. And I think this also gives me the opportunity to get Ghanaians to understand that you are not supposed to fear a politician. Politicians are supposed to fear you. And this is a passionate appeal to all of those persons watching this program on TV, on social media. Don't fear politicians. Politicians should fear you. They are supposed to serve us. It irks me when I see people almost wanting to lie down when they see honorable for him to step on them. Not too long ago, President Biden went to a factory, and a factory worker approached him. The security was trying to prevent him. He was like, no, I'm supposed to speak with the president. So he was like, Mr. President, I don't like this idea of you wanting to take our guns from us. As he was speaking, the president wanted to interject. He was like, wait, I'm still talking. You are supposed to serve me. You know, like the guy was so bold and daring. And we don't see that here in Ghana. We are so timid. And I mean, not to say that all Ghanaians are timid, but mostly Nigerians, they tend to even be bolder than us. When you go to the airport, things are not done right. You see Nigerians stepping up and go like, no, this should not be done, you know, this way. As a result, we are giving these politicians a fool's day. So
Adib, we definitely are the ones with power, but it appears we've lost track of who exactly is the powerful person in here. But in an instance where an MCE comports himself in the manner he did, the police has accosted him, yes. We heard reports at some point that he had been released, but the police report said that he had been arrested. What do you think should happen to someone who acts in the way this representative of the president in Takoradi acted? What do you think should happen to him?
He must have his day in court. He has to go through the process just like Benjamin Akako or Adib Saani. The fact that you are the chairman of the Municipal Security Council doesn't give you the temerity to behave in the manner he did. As a matter of fact, Ben, it is rather when you find yourself in that position that would make you do the right thing against all odds. You know, sometimes I'm in traffic, I follow the rules, and people I'm in the car with, oh, boss, Charlie, you can see other cars are using other rules. Why don't you use? I was like, no, I don't want to cause a stir. I don't want you know, my reputation to be dragged into the mud. So as much as I can, if perhaps I was not known, I would have done it. But rather, when you are known and you are in a position of responsibility, that should push you to doing the right thing. So he must be punished to serve as a deterrent to other public office holders who think they are beyond reproach. And the fact that they can do just anything and get away with it, because that has been the culture. They do the wrong thing, they are caught, they make a call, and the commander goes like, okay, look, this is a big man, let him go. So it is perpetuating that cycle of impunity. Okay, you see them in traffic, they violate it, they have all sorts of illegal strokes, right, and the alarms, and they cause a lot of havoc on these roads. Right. Why should this be allowed to perpetuate?
Adib, hold your horses. We have Bonaa, Dr. Adam Bonaa also joining the conversation. Dr. Bonaa, very good morning to you. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, good morning to you, Ben, and then good morning to my colleague, Sani.
Right. I would have you share your initial thoughts on this, but also focus on this for me. This MCE called one Dorcas, you would hear the name there, and that is what Adib is pointing to. Sometimes the wrong thing is done, and then a call is placed to whichever police officer or person in power, and then the wrong is overlooked. What is your reaction?
Well, yes. Okay, so the Dorcas, from my review of the tape, is, you know, the officer who was the tip of the action is an inspector. And I think on the beat, they were led by a chief inspector. So the chief inspector actually was probably initially attempted to engage the MCE, but from the look of things, the MCE, because of bad mannerism and, you know, bad attitude, decided not to. So he attempted to engage Dorcas at the wrong time. And so I think Dorcas is the chief inspector, and the other gentleman who engaged the MCE was an inspector. But as far as I'm concerned, you see, our 1992 Constitution, some of us have called for it to be amended, because when you have such persons with shady characters, you know, becoming MCs and by extension, chairing the district or the municipal security councils, then you know that we are in for a rough ride on any day. And he is not the only one who has been involved in this. You remember 2020 or so, or 2021, thereabout, 2020, one of them, a DC or MCE in the central region went, was so daring, drove he and his thugs to a police station in the central region to assault a counter NCO at a police station, released, a colleague of theirs who has been a foot soldier who has been arrested, and they drove away. I don't know what happened to that case. We spoke about it. Eventually, we were told he was arrested or he was going to be prosecuted. The police officer who was involved, who was beaten, got transferred, and it became something very murky. But it is the Constitution. I blame this on the Constitution because then you heard him saying that he would transfer the police officer. Why can a civilian say, I will transfer you? Yeah, but the Constitution provides that you are the municipal chief, the municipal, head of Security Council. But it doesn't ask you to meddle in the affairs of a police officer or the police who are out there doing their work and threatening them with transfers and literally denigrating and insulting them. So as far as I'm concerned, this will not stop. So long as
you say it will not stop.
No, it will not stop. It will not stop because if you know the way and manner some of these MCs became MCs and DCs, most of them are, call it semi-literates. They are not very literate, right, not very educated, and so they've never been in any leadership position before, have never done anything in their lives. And so if you put such persons to be representative of the president or the vice president, then you are in for a very, rough ride, like I said initially.
Right. Adib, so moving forward, Adam Bonaa is saying that this is not going to stop. What would you both, as we wrap the conversation with you and come back in the studio, what would you both like to see in respect of how this case is handled? Of course, it will set an example for other cases that would arise. I mean, if you listen to the MCE, it was clear he felt he was above the law, not even the president is above the law. And he is merely representing the president in how many of the many municipalities we have in our country. So what do you want to see happen in this particular regard?
Well, I couldn't have agreed with my senior colleague more with respect to the issues of constitution and all that. I remember I was one of the communications persons on the Constitutional Review Commission. But the thing is, the 1992 Constitution was crafted such that it would make it very difficult for a coup to happen in Ghana. As a result, some powers were vested in civilians. That is why before a state of emergency is imposed, it has to be recommended by the security services, it has to be initiated by the executive, then it goes through parliament before it is actualized. So we don't have so much power concentrated in the hands of the military and the police that would make governments vulnerable or susceptible to coups. When you take a closer look at countries where the military has so much power, or the police, such as Egypt, they suffer these occurrences very often. But that notwithstanding, I think that the powers have largely been abused, and I don't know what background checks is done on these persons before they are appointed DCs or MCs, because these are security heads who would have access to classified national security information. Is it by virtue of the fact that they are party foot soldiers? That's all. No due diligence is conducted. So I think that in as much as we should be looking at the constitutional clauses and all that, we should also ensure some level of accountability. So when you are found to engage in such, indisciplined or criminal behavior, oblivion of your standing in society, the laws would have to catch up with you, especially to serve as a deterrent to others.
Okay. Gentlemen, I did say to wrap, but there's one thing that skipped my mind. In a minute each, I just want us to do this. The ECOWAS situation is still brewing. The Burkina Faso saga is still ongoing. Quoting Mr. President here, he says, this evolution challenges the democratic way of life we have chosen. We need to stand firm to protect democracy and freedom in our region. And he goes on and on. You, Adib, have been reacting to some of what Mr. President said. The sanctions and developments so far, do you think it will bring about any change? That question to both of you in a minute, and it's a wrap. Adib, I'll start with you.
Sanctions doesn't affect the coup leaders, okay? Sanctions affect the people. And it goes without saying that a lot of these countries have a myriad of security challenges. So when you sanction, it makes it very more complex for them to be able to counter the threat. And this could pose a direct existential threat to the whole sub-region. So I think that ECOWAS should explore more on diplomacy, even if it has to be by rough tactics. So we get them to put together a civilian transitional team within the shortest possible time. An election would be held, and civilians will be back to power. So I think ECOWAS should take a closer look at its template and rethink on its coup response approach, as it doesn't really seek to help much.
All right. For you, Doc, your wrap-up comments in a minute.
My wrap-up comments on the MCE, I think that it will be good for the president to relieve him of his position whilst he goes through the legal processes and hopefully get prosecuted by the police and the courts, probably sending him to jail. Then for ECOWAS, I have maintained that ECOWAS has largely lost its credibility. You notice that anytime they meet for, a summit like this, afterwards we have a coup. And I have been asking, when was the last time ECOWAS saw the need to have engage even CSOs? The leaders don't seem to understand what is going on, because then you see they retreat back into their various countries and they go to the presidential palaces and they are shepherded and, drive through traffic like the MCE wanted to do. So they don't really appreciate what is going on amongst the ordinary citizens. You go into town and, as far as I am concerned, people are feeling the hardship all over ECOWAS. But do the leaders understand what the challenges are? So as far as I'm concerned, sanctions and more sanctions can only seek to punish and make things more difficult for the already impoverished ECOWAS citizen. And therefore, when there is a coup in any of these countries, the already impoverished citizen would only go on the road to jubilate. It's 1979. Some of us saw it when let the blood flow, let the blood flow. As far as I'm concerned, they are really not speaking to the citizens of ECOWAS. And until the leaders, begin to speak directly to the citizens of ECOWAS, coup has come to stay in ECOWAS, and they cannot do anything because they don't know how difficult it is for citizens of ECOWAS to survive within the sub-region. So this is what I can say.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. Dr. Adam Bonaa, together with Adib Saani, security analyst, and we wish you the best of the day. Let's quickly come into the studio now, and I know you'd like to have a quick bite, maybe in some 30 seconds, 1 minute, on the MCE situation. Then we dig into the papers.
Of course. I think that's a lot of, MCEs, politicians really are under this misguided impression that they are there to lord over the citizens. They are responsible.
Aren't we the ones who have made them feel that way?
That perhaps we are. And
honorable, and they go about acting dishonorably.
You see, and that is why I'm saying that it's under the misguided impression that they're actually there to lord over us, because you see them and call them honorable. They are only exercising a fiduciary duty, in your stead. In fact, they are trustees. So properly speaking, these are people that you have employed and assigned specific duties for them to undertake. on your behalf.
So imagine,
and so you can hire and fire them at
your
any time.
employee.
Exactly.
Not only disrespecting you, telling you you are ugly, telling you I'll transfer you.
Exactly.
All sorts of things.
Exactly. And that's exactly the picture that we are seeing. And you see, this is not just the case of this Takoradi MCE. You can look at, we saw the Kede MP.
Oh, yeah, that situation.
Says that one, I'm on a national assignment, national duty. I have to go. And he wants to break traffic regulations and so on and so forth.
In fact, only last week, and I can't mention the person's name because this was a secret camera someone used to catch a big man on the Spintex Road. And I can't, of course, the police themselves have not put the name out. But flouting the regulations with impunity. Crisscrossing, going past the other vehicles, and they know there are cameras in certain places. So when they get there, then they try to abide. But the stretches they know there are no cameras on. Oh, Freebonto,
and this is terrible. In other jurisdictions, the gentleman would have been interdicted already, pending the completion of their court processes and so on and so forth. But over here, we have the MCE hold on to his power. In fact. You heard Adam Bonaa, make reference to this particular case, where the police officer who was actually assaulted ended up getting transferred. And
I think we'll keep our eyes on that. If this police officer gets transferred, then we'll know that something.
And I was just going to say that, Ben, don't be shocked that the police officer will be at his post in the next, say, a quarter of a year, maybe 3 months.
And then pum.
And then he'll be gone. Whatever happens.
He'll go to NG.
Maybe even worse for him because of quote and unquote the disgrace that he has brought on this darling boy of government. Because of course, there's no better way of describing him. He's a darling boy of government. In fact, he's a representative of the president in the municipality. And so, I mean, this is a real, challenge to the president, to the vice president, to people who are in authority, people who have been employed by Ghanaians.
Don't worry. Next time,
let's see what happens.
Should I get accosted, driving recklessly or something? I'll say, hey, do you know who I am? Don't you see me on TV every morning? I'm a broadcaster.
I think that is what these politicians are pushing us into doing. I'm a journalist. And so what? And
that's the question. And so the heck what?
And so what?
So what?
Yeah,
Mr. President, you fall foul of the law. You've fallen foul of the law. Daily Graphic, let's quickly do this, and in the next 8 minutes or so, we'll wrap it up. Utah government to restart negotiations. I said this one, I agree. Out of court settlement called for. Asin North MP charged with perjury and forgery. I've listened to both sides. The minority itself has had a release. Haruna Idrisu, the minority leader, has spoken to the matters. But whether civil or criminal, we wait to see how this will pan out. As of course, it still is in the appellate court.
Of course, and the politics of this is what interests me. So you have the majority side saying that, we are going to make sure that he doesn't come to Parliament to prosecute any parliamentary business. And the minority saying, you try it, let's see. And so for now, even ahead of the resumption of Parliament and all of those things, the battle lines have been drawn, and everyone has drawn his or a dagger. And so we are waiting.
No, this one.
And this is
this one. It is clear. We can foresee another. We can smell another fight.
That's what I always make reference to, the leadership of Parliament. They cannot, in this instance, pretend as though they had not heard of this simmering, tensions that is just waiting to explode on the floor of Parliament. I think that, with the greatest of respect, if there's leadership in Parliament, this is a time where you call both sides of the House, get a compromising position. Let's get to a consensus and decide on how to proceed before we go back into the chamber, have another dishonorable.
You're going on and on, but I don't think that is going to happen. You know why? Because the very leadership of Parliament, from the majority leader to the minority leader, when you look at the issues that have come up, I don't know whose fault it is or where to lay the blame, if I can even lay the blame. But they don't see eye to eye. They don't appear to want to arrive at that consensus or cede a little so that, that can be achieved. So we'll leave them to do their thing. It appears everywhere. It's either fighting or...
It's only a problem because they are not doing their thing.
Okay.
They are doing our thing. They are doing for us.
ECOWAS needs coalition critical to halting political turbulence, that's according to Akufo-Addo. NACOC destroys 80-acre weed plantation. That's on page 20. And this was in Liati Dafonu in the Afajato South District in the Volta region. It took a team of about 70 officers of NACOC, the Ghana Immigration Service, the National Investigations Bureau, and the Hohoi Divisional Police. Charlie?
It's going to be small operation.
Yeah.
Operation.
Yeah, they are Chanda and Babylon.
Bend the gun.
That was up. On the back page, family connections at AFCON pictured there. And Andre Dede Ayew and Jordan Ayew. And it's heartbreak for Cameroon as they lost out big time yesterday. Okay, so let's get into the other papers. Maybe you can do two before I come back in.
Daily Guide is leading with Canada MP, and this is in quote, Canada MP in hot water as AG strikes with perjury charge, and it comes with a picture of James Dache Kwesing. And NDC gurus fight over Tamils. Top kings can't protect Baltimore lands. And that story is on page 12. Take firm decision on coups. This is from the ECOWAS Commission. Now, when you go to the Ghanaian Times newspaper, the banner headline here says, military takeover in sub-region, West Africa in danger. That's according to ECOWAS Chairman President Akufo-Addo. I think that's not lost on us. We know ECOWAS, West Africa is in danger. We need action to, follow that.
We don't have the systems that can bring about any action. That's the whole point. The African Union has been described as a toothless bulldog, and ECOWAS itself is an economic community with some. So
of the African Union.
We don't even know what that can do.
But we've seen, the deployment of additional troops at the borders, at least to the north, to Burkina Faso. We've seen a deployment of additional troops there to sort of, filter the movement of goods and people into the country. But UTAG NLC ordered to settle impasse out of court, and that story is on page 3. Today ends the, at least for the University of Ghana, University of Cape Coast, and a couple of other universities, University of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology also. Today ends the 3rd straight week of no academic activity, on their campuses. And for instance, in the University of Cape Coast statute, it's specifically stated there that after 21 days of consistent, inactivity on the campus, the University Council has a duty of shutting down the school. So if that issue is not sorted out, we may just be seeing a potential shutdown of the universities. Quick touch-up on this one. No new sanctions on Burkina Faso as Akufo-Addo urges colleague ECOWAS heads to take security seriously. And that's the Daily Statesman. 7-member Apiate Reconstruction Committee inaugurated.
Right.
And government increases disability grant by 200%. So that's what we have on the Daily Statesman.
Just to wrap the conversation, the final newspaper, judge gives NLC UTAG up to February 10 to settle impasse and report to the court. February 10, but it would be past the 21-day thing. Yeah. So I don't know how that is going to pan out. The BNFT, more than 60% of fertilizer suppliers for PFJ remain unsettled in Tia Omoka. And fresh troubles for evicted NDC. Evicted in quote, NDC MP, a minority, weeps. GRA set to implement e-levy. Of course, we've seen that statement as well from them. Reverend Amishadai saying that we're ready. We've put ourselves in pole position so that, like I said, we're ready to go. Manuel, put it there. Thanks for joining.
Absolutely.
So that's how we sew it up for the news review. But coming up is sports. Do stay with us.
On PM Personality Profile this Friday.
At Snaps College, sometimes there was not even money to take a car. Wow. I'd walk. Okay. I'd walk from that center to the city. It was a central class system that, on hindsight, I think was there. It was a bit intimidating for me as a child.
Sometimes when you act, people who watch movies see it to be real. So you have acted a wicked role, like a wicked mother, and someone will see you and they're like, oh, you're wicked. Have you had that experience?
Listen, it was traumatic for me. Went those years, and I was a wicked stepmother. Oh, let these kids close from school. So I saw me. What's your skill? I didn't
9 p.m. on the Joy News channel.
These were not scenes in Egypt following the Pharaoh's success to the final of the African Cup of Nations. These were not scenes in Senegal following the success of the Teranga Lions as they reached the African Cup of Nations currently ongoing in Cameroon. It was rather scenes in Côte d'Ivoire following the failure of Cameroon to make it to the grand finale